I'm a bird? That's absurd. It's the silliest thing I've ever heard. I'm just plain Albert. Yeah, I'm just plain Albert.
Oh yeah.
I've got something to say about how nature should work in the natural way. In the natural way. We can check out the world from way up in the sky. Though I'm not a bird, I know how to fly. With a snap of my fingers I can be as small as a pea or as tall as a tree. When my pocket's filled with all kinds of stuff, exploring nature should be easy enough. So come along with me and be my guest. Remember, Albert says, nature knows best. Nature knows best. Nature knows best.
Oh yeah.
Nature knows best.
I'm singing in the rain, doobity-boop, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, it's bath time again. The stars in the sky, skiddly-by, the moon up above, rubbity-bub. Along with this feeling, I'm ready to soak my armpits. Oh, water, it's great stuff.
Creep! Menace! Polluter! Filthy rat!
And of course, one thing you can always be sure of, there's plenty to go around. Always happens when you want to look your best. Water's something that shouldn't be taken for granted, even though it's plentiful in some households. But think about it. Where does all that water come from? Follow me! Clever, huh? Oh! Whoa! Ow! This is just the last stage in the long journey your water travels to get to your home. All of it, up to 40 gallons a day in industrialized countries, has to be pumped along miles of piping. And each pipe ends up somewhere like... Whoa! 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 Yikes! Here. Ow! Whoa! Oh! What? And when you look at this place, it doesn't take much imagination to guess where it all goes. 4 gallons per day for laundry. 1.5 gallons per day for cooking and drinking. A staggering 13 gallons per day for washing ourselves. No wonder my showers run dry. Yeah. Excuse me. Woo-hoo. And 4 more gallons literally flushed away. Enough drinking water for a whole week. And it's all the same water, whether we drink it or pour it away. Where does it all go? Down the drain, of course. Ow! And what you flush down the drain eventually ends up back in your tap. There isn't any new water. It's all been used before, not just once, but thousands of times. You think I'm kidding? Oh, our drinking water's fresh. It comes from nice, clean places like rivers, streams, lakes, reservoirs. Sure it does. But it doesn't just sit around here. It's constantly on the move, part of a big natural cycle. Look at that. There's moisture everywhere. As water heats, moisture goes to the surface, evaporates, and rises into the air as vapor. The higher it goes, the cooler it gets. The vapor condenses and forms clouds. Looks like cotton. Let's have a closer look. Wow! Lots and lots of tiny water droplets stuck together. The more water vapor that condenses and joins the cloud, the bigger the droplets become. Then, when they get too fat, they fall to the ground. Rain!
Huh? Whoa!
Some of it drains away and collects underground. The rest forms big puddles. It might only be drinking water to you and me, but it's also a home to a whole lot of animals. Oh, not so loud, old man. You'll give me a heart attack.
You ought to be careful with that soapy shower of yours. Some of us have to live here.
Careless. Sorry. How's the wife?
I'm not married.
Show off. As you can see, everyone has his own way of getting fast food around here. Whoa! Ah! The lake is a watery community, a bit like a town. These plants get their food from the water and in turn provide homes and shelter for all the animals that live and feed in the area.
You've only seen what's on the surface. How about underwater?
Well, what's so special about down there?
Just go and have a look.
Yikes! Hey! Fantastic! Clean, crystal clear, and so peaceful. Well, maybe not so peaceful, but how come the water is so clean when this place is so full of inhabitants going about their daily business? Things fall in. Yow! Whoa! You'd think it'd be like pea soup down here. Why isn't it? Germs! So, bacteria like living down here too. They seem very busy. Let's see. How do you do? Wow! These guys are doing a really important job. They're eating waste. Dead leaves, dead animals. and they seem to have quite an appetite.
Yeah! Oh!
So they're like nature's garbage men. They make certain the water is always clean.
Phew! Hey!
Also, they produce waste that the water plants like to eat. And water plants excrete oxygen, which is great because that's what fish breathe.
Well, I hope you've learned something.
Yeah, another cycle, with everyone producing something that somebody else needs. Nature's great.
Aha! But you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, no!
Most of the water is held inside the lake by gravel and mud at the bottom. But small amounts of water still filter out into the soil underneath. You've got to look deeper.
Oh, it's a tight squeeze, but I guess that's what filtering is all about. Water is squeezed through layers of the earth and gets cleaned up some more in the process. It's stopped. It can't go any further. I guess this must be what they call the water table. And the water that collects here, groundwater. It's clean enough to use. When it's needed, then it can be pumped up into the water station. From there, it can be pumped into our homes.
Oh, no! Ah! Oh. Ouch!
Pardon me. Okay, so we get our water out of a pipe. Seems easy enough. So, I suppose I can use as much as I like for washing, laundry, doing the dishes, and all the dirty water will be cleaned up again with the help of the bacteria. But is it really so simple? I mean, just how fast can the little guys work? Not that fast, and I can see I'm not the only one at it. In fact, we have a problem here. Stop! So many people want clean water, bacteria on their own can't manage. They need water treatment plants to help them out. The water flushed away down the drain ends up here, in the sewers. As more and more pipes join up, the sewer becomes wider and wider until it's big enough to hold, say, an underground train.
Whoa, uh-oh. Yeah! Oh!
This grill will filter out any large pieces of waste that have been flushed away. And you'd be surprised what ends up down here. Grit and sand washed from gardens and roads are mixed with the water. In these basins, all the heavy stuff sinks to the bottom. That takes a few days. Afterwards, the water looks clearer, but it's not clean. There's still a lot to do. And you know whose job that is? Exactly. Our friends are here as well. Let's take a look. These little guys are really busy. Their job is to separate and then break down the waste. So that they don't run out of breath, oxygen is pumped and mixed into the water. The leftover waste, called sludge, sinks to the bottom and leaves the water clean, which can now be reused. Here's our clean water expert. Is this water as clean as in your lake?
Yes, the bacteria are doing a good cleanup job.
So, when they've finished their job, the water is clean enough to be piped into the river or the sea. With the help of nature, our sewage is returned to the natural cycle.
That's the easy version. But there are problems. Only natural waste can be eaten by bacteria. All kinds of things are poured down the drain. Aggressive household cleaners and bleaches. Washing detergents, discarded dye and paint solvents. That ruins the little waste eaters' appetites, since they can't cope with these chemicals. And it's not just households that poison the water system. Factories do, too.
A paper factory, for example. A nice white sheet of paper, but the wood pulp is brown. To make it white, they're adding very strong bleaches and a lot of water. Ugh! This water should not go back into the natural cycle. It may not be a danger to man, but it sure is to fish and other creatures. And factories are thirsty places. They use an awful lot of water. And most of it comes from here. Groundwater. An ordinary plastic bag. To make this, a factory uses 1 1/4 gallons of water. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? My favorite. A colored paper wrapping. About a pint of water. Tin foil? About another pint. Yeah, and chocolate? Half a gallon. Not to mention the water I'm gonna want to drink when I've finished eating this chocolate bar. Delicious. That makes a total of almost 2 gallons. Everyone and everything is thirsty. If you consider how much water is used to produce the things needed to satisfy a Western lifestyle, each person goes through about 250 gallons a day. I knew factories used a lot of water, but this is more than I ever imagined. Does it really matter how much water is used in places like this, where it rains a lot? After all, the rainwater will eventually drain into the ground and top up the groundwater with fresh, new water.
Huh? Don't be so sure. Why don't you take a look at what really happens?
Most of the ground is sealed up, covered in concrete and asphalt. And the rain can't sink into it. It just drains away, straight back into the rivers and down into the sea, so it never tops off the groundwater. Whoops, sorry. Well, here in the countryside, the rain has a better chance of falling onto the earth and topping off the groundwater. But chemical fertilizers and pesticides get washed down into the ground by the rain and pollute the groundwater. Then the water's natural cleaning process breaks down. Of course, man thinks he has a solution for every mess he makes. Technologically purified water. Why not? The polluted water is pumped in. Sand filters start the cleaning process. Then the water gets piped into vats. Inside are charcoal filters to get rid of all the gunk. They get clogged and dirty so fast that they have to be cleaned weekly. Then ozone is bubbled through the water. It combines with dangerous chemicals and makes them harmless. But since ozone doesn't last long, it has to be produced over and over again. That's what these tubes do. What a complicated way to make something as simple as water. If we carry on like this, what will the future be like?
It's not difficult to imagine. Clean water is so scarce, it doesn't come from a tap. It comes at a price, and only in bottles. No more showers or baths. Maybe it's worse. A city without water is no place to live. People move out in search of water, any water they can find. But all the lakes and rivers have been poisoned, and rainwater is so scarce, people will kill each other over it.
It's not that bad yet.
So, have you learned something about water?
Yeah, thanks. Everyone has to take care of how water is used and how much.
The stuff is on loan from streams and lakes. It's used again and again, hundreds of times. The water cycle keeps cleaning it up. It must be returned in good condition so the cycle can continue.
Whoa, show off.